Hello out there, and welcome to a new episode of Books and Beyond from the Winter Park Library, recorded live in the recording studio at the library in beautiful Winter Park, Florida. In Books and Beyond, we have conversations with writers, musicians, artists, presenters, and other contributors. Most of our guests have appeared live at the Winter Park Library or will be presenting soon. We hope you'll subscribe to the Books and Beyond podcast and that you'll stay up to date with library goings-on at winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. I'm Michael Werner, and I'll be your host for our interviews. Enjoy the show. Hello out there, library patrons, readers, and smart people everywhere. This is your host of the Books and Beyond podcast, Michael Werner, and we're here today with a special guest, Jane Rodriguez. Hi, Jane.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Let me say a couple words, Jane, and then we'll get back into the reason why you're here and everything else. Before we get started, I do want to mention to everybody that if you're listening to this podcast, there's one thing I'd like to ask you to do, and that is go to winterparklibrary.org/events, and you're going to see all the amazing things that go on at this library that don't have anything to do with books. There's all kinds of great presentations here, everything from authors to singers to other musicians to historians, you name it. There's a ton of stuff for kids. There's all kinds of activities going on at the library. So check that out, winterparklibrary.org/events, which brings us to Jane, because Jane's involved with one of the events that's happening this month, which we'll get into in a minute. Jane is the owner of the... Tell me the name of your store again.
The New Romantics.
The New Romantics Bookshop, which is a new shop here in town in Winter Park that focuses on romance books and romance merchandise. So, Jane, tell us a little bit about your background and what gave you the crazy idea to start a bookstore?
Yeah, of course. So I love this question so much. I love starting off by saying that I am a romance reader through and through. There is just no other genre that does it for me quite like romance. And I think that as readers, we kind of all have this lifelong dream of opening a bookstore. Like somewhere in the deep of our minds, we're always just like, yeah, I think a cute little bookstore would heal the soul. So for me, I had kind of come to a crossroads with my career where I had been an entrepreneur for the last 5 years, and I wasn't feeling like as challenged as I wanted to be. And I was like, that little dream in the back of my head keeps like nagging at me. So I think I'm going to look into that. So I kind of made a decision at the beginning of last year that I was going to do what I needed to do to open my very own romance bookstore.
And you knew right from the beginning it was going to be a romance
store.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that today I like to always give a little shout out to the Ripped Bodice because they were the OGs. They started their first romance-only bookstore in the world, I guess you would say, in 2016. So
where are they?
They're in California.
Okay.
Yeah, and they actually opened a second location in New York. So it's really cool. But I was like, wait, you're telling me that my little dream of opening a bookstore can be just the genre that I am in love with and obsessed with? So I was like, say less. We're gonna try doing this. So I started like documenting the journey of us opening a romance bookstore last year, and I have a background in business, so that part was easy. Like when it comes to getting your LLC filed and your EIN and all of like the back end nitty gritty things, I kind of had that covered.
And how were you, when you say documenting, in what method or what mode? On social media or on a blog? Or what,
yeah, so that was a really big thing for us, and our social media is huge. So I started making like reels and TikToks of me being like, hi, my name is Jane Rodriguez, and I'm opening a romance-only bookstore. And being like, today I'm going to figure out how to buy books, and today I'm going to figure out how to get our website up and running. And today we have our first pop-up coming up, like come join us. And people really took like some ownership in that, and they started following our journey. So I remember the first time that I posted a first video being like, hi, my name is Jane Rodriguez. And like, if you are part of the community, you know that that's like a famous thing now, because I would start all of my TikTok videos and reels saying that. So I say it at the beginning of all of our events too, which is really cool.
Okay.
And the transition actually from being like, hi, my name is Jane Rodriguez and I'm opening a romance bookstore to hi, my name is Jane Rodriguez and I opened a romance bookstore has been really cool.
Right.
But documenting that whole journey on social media has been massive for us. And it's just been really cool learning all the things that we need to learn to open the bookstore and kind of documenting that process and sharing it with the world. So we kind of started doing that. We started with online sales. then doing like pop-ups in the community until we.
So you were doing all this before you even had the
Yeah.
physical bookstore.
Yep.
And you were looking, I'm guessing, for a physical space.
Yeah,
then.
we were looking hard, and I had the dream of being able to open our brick and mortar space by the end of 2024.
Okay.
And we spent the entire summer looking for the space, and I was like, I really don't think it's going to happen for us this year. And then Joybird Books, which was on Corinne, they were a used bookstore. Andrew, the owner, had DM'd me on Instagram and was like,
you knew him.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know him actually, but he sent me a message and was like, hey, we don't think we're going to renew our lease. We know that you're looking for a space. We would love for another bookstore to take over. Would you be interested in taking over our space? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So from that moment on, things moved.
Because they had all the
quickly.
fixtures, right? All the shelving. And...
Well, yeah, we actually removed all of that.
Okay.
Because a really big thing about us is like our brand and our identity, and it's gonna sound funny, but we wanted to make the space look very like Instagrammable, and highly like social media focused.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like photo ops in the space, and we have really tall, beautiful white bookshelves that are just like so beautiful to look at, especially when they're filled with romance books. And those are all the things that have really like attracted our audience to come to the space and honestly create like content for us and create marketing for us. So I think that has also been a really big push for us, is that people walk into our space and like love that it's pink and purple and just very like girly pop is what we call it.
Right.
That we're constantly seeing other people create videos and TikToks for us, telling like, hey, like I went to this bookstore, like come check it out. And that has been huge, like so huge into like our outreach and how we've been able to kind of share with the Orlando community that we're here. Yeah.
Let me take a step back.
Yeah.
This is great, and we'll come back to it. And I also want to get into the events here at the library and other events that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your romance book journey. I mean, you just popped out of bed at age 7 and started reading romance books, or how did this happen?
So it's funny. I always say that my catalyst is Twilight, and it was for a lot of us, because I had always loved reading. Like I would read the little like mass paperback books, but when we read Twilight for the first time, like we were talking about this other day, it altered my brain chemistry, where I was like, this is what I really love and the things that I'm so passionate about. So that kind of led to a constant search of finding books that make you feel the same way as a book that you loved for the first time makes you feel, and the romance genre for me has just continued to like solidify, like my love for it has continued to solidify over and over throughout the years. And there's always been like peaks of or like moments in time that have like defined myself as a romance reader. And funny enough too, I think that during the COVID pandemic portion of it back in 2020, where so many of us were like forced to be indoors, a lot of us use like TikTok, right, to like watch videos and escape. And going into the book talk world, I went from reading 30 books a year to over 100 books a year, because I was constantly seeing videos of people being like, I read this book, like these are all the things that are in it, like you should read it. And I'd be like, okay, and they're like, just add it to my TBR, and like doing that. So it almost developed like a FOMO of like all of these people are talking about these books and I want to read them so I can talk about them too.
I don't want to miss that book. Yeah, I can't miss that book. Yeah.
Because you're always searching for what's going to be that next really big one. And it's just been so fun. And I've had so many amazing reads and authors that I've just absolutely loved. And it's just been such a beautiful journey from when I was just a teen to where I am now.
Are you excited about romance books, Jane?
I think so, a little bit. Can you tell?
I can tell a little bit. Okay, so back to your story. You're going through.
Yeah.
You're documenting all of the steps you went through to become a business or to help your business evolve.
Yeah.
And then you found a store. And where is the store, by the way?
It's on Corinne. Okay. It's right in Audubon Park. So like right on the edge of Winter Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody knows the East End Market, it's in that area on the other side of the street.
Yeah, we're literally right across the street from the Salty Donut. We can like look at it from our window.
Okay. Do you eat salty donuts a lot?
Yes. Yeah, that's a problem. That and Kelly's right, like walking, like just
which is an ice cream shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you started up the shop in October, November, was it?
So we got the keys November 1st, and by December 7th we were having
2024. Just recently, a few months ago.
Yeah, we were having our grand opening. So just 5 weeks we had our grand opening.
Okay. Got to ask you, Jane,
Yeah.
why does anybody think that they can survive with a brick and mortar bookstore when there's
Yeah.
places like Amazon and big stores like Barnes and
Mm-hmm.
Noble? How do you do that?
Yeah, and I think that that's a question that a lot of bookstores, especially like indie bookstores, ask themselves. And I think the main thing is that we are so community focused and led. And for us, like social media has been such a huge push and of like helping people see us and feel like a relationship with not just me, but my team. And it's just so much more personable, right? And I was having this conversation the other day where like I know that every single time that someone comes into my store and buys a book, they're not buying it because they know it's where they're going to be able to get it the cheapest. They're buying it because they want to support us and support what we're doing. And the impact of that one book purchase is felt 110,000 times more than it will ever be felt buying it at like a big retailer or on Amazon. And I think that our audience and our community knows that. And I think it's also part of what we've been able to do for our community and the community building aspects and how we are always consistently trying to like give back, and we're only able to do that if people are willing to come in and support us. And I think that that personable aspect goes such a long way, right? Like if you come into our store and you're like, hey, I'm looking for a book recommendation, or maybe they want something that's a little bit more like hyper specific, like a cowboy billionaire romance, right? We can be like, yeah, let's look at what we got. Let's see what we can have with you, and having conversations and building those relationships that are just going to strengthen our community.
So that is a subgenre, the cowboy billionaire.
Oh yeah, we can get so nitty gritty with it. We can get so nitty, but that's just the thing that I'm so grateful for people that are willing to come into our store and support us in that way, because we know we're not dumb. We know that you're buying here because you want to support us, because
Right.
Amazon is always going to have like way cheaper prices. So we just appreciate it so much more.
And I think just in talking to you before the show, you have ancillary merchandise as
Yeah,
well too.
yeah.
It's not just books.
Yeah, so we have a whole sideline item side, which is what we call it. We have so many like bookmarks and stickers. We sell candles and tote bags and cups and mugs and little book accessories, and we make our own like annotation kits, which is really cool too.
What does that mean?
So it's like a little kit that has like annotating tabs and highlighters, and like a
to
little
use
tea
with
bag.
the book itself.
Yeah, so
with
when
a book.
as you're reading your physical book, you can like annotate and like write notes in, or like highlight lines and stuff like that. So we're always thinking of new and creative ways, and we can do like merch and shirts and hats and all the different things. So that part really helps us too, especially for people that maybe don't read physical books. Like we like to appeal that to our ebook readers or audiobook readers, and kind of knowing that for whatever reader you are, there's something in the store for you.
Okay. But you have nothing that's probably Taylor Swift related. Is that true?
I think we might have a couple of Taylor Swift themed items. That's
Tell us about that.
So our name is, I'll say, inspired by a Taylor Swift song. So if you know the 1989 album, she has a song called New Romantics, which is kind of like, it's become our anthem, which is really cool. I was like, I don't know what other bookstore has their own anthem.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's funny because when people are creating all that social media content, they're like always putting the New Romantic song, and I'm like, yep, this is us. So we're every time you hear that song, you're gonna think of us. But we're very much Taylor Swift inspired, and we're all very, very big Swifties. Like our whole team is. So we tend to have a lot of like Taylor Swift inspired like candles and bookmarks and stuff like that. So if you are a Swiftie, you will definitely find things that you like.
Feel warm and fuzzy in your
Oh,
store.
100%. And we may or may not also have Taylor Swift playing at all times.
Well, I have Swifties in my life. I'm not one, but I have Swifties in my life. I'll have to take them by to see if they get that vibe.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
They for sure will.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you've got the shop. So one of your things for outreach, I think, is do you do events?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the events that you have.
So
there
we have
this
so many different types of events, and I tell people that we always have like two different categories of events. We have events that are author focused.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of in-store signings. We do events with authors, book release parties. We do a lot of like pre-order campaigns with authors too. And then on the other side, we do a lot of like community building events.
How do you do that? I mean, how do you? I know the authors are out there and they want to do this, but how do you connect with authors?
Social media is a huge thing, and we are now, since we're so young, so new, we're trying to establish relationships more and more with authors. But it helps that we honestly have a really amazing presence on social media. So we're constantly like sharing book releases, or if they just announced a title or a cover reveal, or If they're announcing book tours, we try to support them online as much as we can.
Okay.
And then from like the publisher side of things as well, when we're working with traditionally published authors, we can reach out to publishers and be like, hey, we would love to have so-and-so come into our store for their book tour that we know like this book is being released.
So these are not just local or Central Florida authors. These are
we
authors from all over
work
the
with
country.
a lot. We've mainly right now have worked with Central Florida authors because it removes that travel barrier.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a lot more affordable for all parties
Sure,
if
sure,
you're
sure,
local.
sure.
But we love our local authors. We actually have a whole shelf in store dedicated just for local authors. And there are tons of local romance
So there's
authors.
tons.
In Orlando.
Let me get this straight. So there's
Tons.
tons of local Central Florida romance book authors.
Yeah.
I did not know
Like
this.
I would say upwards of 50, 60, 70.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And every
Wow.
day I feel like I'm finding a new one. I'm like, where have you been? Like,
Yeah, I'm learning something new every Holy Jane, what could that be? I think I know what that is. That means it's time for rapid fire Q&A. You want to play along with us?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can answer just in one or two words or just
Okay.
a small sentence or something, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
When you were a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
a teacher.
A teacher. Never made it.
Never made it.
Never made it. If this thing had 0 calories, this food item had 0 calories, what could you eat every day?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies every day.
Every day.
Every day. Jane, if you didn't live where you live now, which is Central Florida, where would you like to live?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yep. Perfect weather.
Do they need a bookstore?
They have one.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
That's not where the bookstore that you mentioned was.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
This is so good. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to pass on that one for now.
okay.
I was like,
We
there's
can
just
come
so
back to
many
that.
thoughts in my head.
Okay. No worries. What's something they don't teach you in school but should?
Taxes.
Taxes.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is appropriate for this time
Yeah.
of year.
Yeah.
Have you done your taxes yet?
I thankfully have an amazing accountant that I get to hand everything over to, and
Yeah,
she
that-
figures it out for me.
That's wonderful. We know chocolate chip cookies are for dessert maybe
Okay.
today in this. Next question. What is your favorite meal?
Probably like a fettuccine alfredo,
Okay.
like with crispy chicken.
With crispy chicken
Yeah.
and chocolate chip cookies for dessert.
Yes.
With a glass of milk? Do you like milk
No,
or not?
I'll take like a Coke,
A
a little Coke, yeah.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this. Who's your favorite musician?
Maybe perhaps Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Okay. Is there some place on your must-see or go list? Got to see this place.
I have been dying to go to the Amalfi Coast in Italy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you make it
I hope
someday.
so.
It's a beautiful spot. What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? Although you're not much beyond that, I don't think. To your younger self?
I'm 32.
Oh,
so
okay. You don't
I
look
know I
32.
look like I'm 16.
Yeah.
I think that I would tell them that it's okay to not have it all figured out and that things happen when they're meant to.
Were you worried about it when you were 20, like tense, like you're supposed to be having it
I
all
think
figured
so.
out? You didn't?
Yeah. I think that, yeah, for sure. Society helps with the pressures.
Do you have a favorite saying or quote?
There's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait.
Okay.
Little Hamilton reference for you.
Oh, okay. That's from Hamilton.
yeah.
Okay. And our last one. Oh, no, I think that was our last one. Oh no, last one. What's a character trait that you admire in other people?
Empathy.
Okay. Thanks for playing along.
Yeah, it was fun.
We'll go back to our talk here. So we're talking about your shop. You're
Yeah.
a little bit about your own journey in life to get to that shop. Let's talk about the bookstore here, or the library here,
Yeah.
and the event that's going on, and what your involvement is with it. And by the way, before we get to that, that's the Romancing the Books Festival on March 29th.
Yes,
It's
yep.
all day long. I think from 1 o'clock
To 5 p.m.
to
yeah,
5
1
p.m.
to 5.
And just I'll mention this for our listeners. That concurrently with that, there's a children's book festival that's going on upstairs in the library. So you moms and dads, bring your
Yeah.
son or daughter by to the children's book festival and stop by downstairs for the in the main library or in the main theater, the Edith Bush Theater, for the event that Jane is involved with, Romancing the Books.
Yeah.
March 29th,
1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. Who's coming to that, and I mean, who's speaking at that, and what you got going?
Yeah, so it's a really fun day of romance, which I absolutely love. We have a keynote speaker, so Sonali Dev is coming out and having a little conversation with Lorelei from Lorelai's Lit Layer.
Okay, and if anybody that was listening to our podcast, one of our original shows, Jane, was a year ago or 14 months ago with Lorelei. Because she was involved with the festival back then, which had just then turned over to a romance orientation from a general Winter Park Book Festival. So now it's just romance oriented. So now you're involved with Lorelei, co-sponsoring with Lorelei. Okay.
Yeah, so we are coming in as like the on-site bookstore, which is extremely exciting. We are so happy and honored to be a part of it. So it's basically a book festival where we're featuring Sonali as the keynote speaker, which is amazing because she has a couple of books that are inspired by Jane Austen books, which is amazing considering the year of Jane Austen.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, this is the 250th birthday of Jane
Yeah,
Austen.
which is wild.
Yeah, which is wild.
Which is almost, I would say, 250 years of romance, if you think about it.
Exactly, 250 years of romance.
Yeah.
And there's a series of events here at the library also going on to celebrate this. It's not a bicentennial, half
I
year,
know.
whatever 250 years would be.
Quarter
yeah.
century. Yeah.
We'll look into that and see if we can figure that one out. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like a festival where we're featuring Sonali, but we're also featuring.
And she's well known. She's a well known writer.
Yeah, definitely in the romance space. And
she local?
She's not local. She's traveling into for this event, which is so exciting.
Okay,
so we're
nice.
so happy that she was able to join us. But she's also going to be joined by 8 other authors, which is a mixture of both like independently published and traditionally published authors, which is really exciting. And they all write a variety of like historical romances, contemporary romances, cowboy romances. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone. So we're so excited to have this group of women come out and to share their books with us. And that's what we're going to be doing on Saturday, March 29th, is just hanging out with romance authors and learning more about them, their books, their process. And then you can get their books and get them signed, which is always something really exciting.
Nice.
So we are so excited for this event and excited to be part of it.
And I would encourage everybody that's listening, that's interested, you don't have to sign up ahead of time, but you can secure a spot in the theater if you do that.
So we actually, our Sonali Dev keynote is booked out.
It's already booked out.
Within like the day, which is wild. We reached capacity.
So I take everything back. Like you said, you can't sign up for it.
We do have a wait list going on Eventbrite. So if you're trying to see if you can get a ticket, we recommend signing up for that wait list. But after the keynote, it'll be open to the public. So anyone can come in and hang out and engage with the authors and just like shop around as well.
Do the authors talk as well? Like they have a panel, or
they'll have a little like trivia Q&A at the beginning, and then we'll lead into Sonali, and then we'll have more like a marketplace style.
Okay, so you walk around and just introduce yourself to authors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know last year, because I came by to look, it was extremely well attended last year, so I hope it's a great turnout as well this year. It sounds like it's going to be, since you've sold out the
in one day. It was wild.
Wow, have you met her before?
I have not, so I'm really excited.
Have you read her books?
I have not. Okay. I need to. I need to add them to the list.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is the blessing and the curse of being a romance reader that is chronically online, is that I have like hundreds of books that I want to read.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you do that? I mean, you got to constantly be researching new books, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time reading existing.
It's become
books.
harder, if I'm honest with you. But I'm also a mood reader, so that's something that's really like popular with romance readers. That sometimes I'm in the mood to read like a romantasy, where I'm like, let's talk about fae and magic and magical systems. But then sometimes I'm like, I just want like a workplace romance, you know? So it definitely changes. My mood changes a lot. So I try to follow what I'm in the mood for.
So you're not you're not tied to a specific subgenre.
Oh,
of
no.
romance. You bounce around.
There's some people that are, but I love every subgenre. Like I will read any romance, as long as it's romance. You put it in front of me and I'll read it.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever tried reading anything else?
I have, and for like school, and that wasn't always as entertaining.
Yeah.
I've dabbled into more like professional development, personal development books.
Okay.
But like any other fiction.
In fiction, it's romance.
Yeah,
romance
I can't
all
do
the way.
it. I cannot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does each of the authors that are here for the Romancing the Books Festival here at the library on March 29th, from 12 to 5.
1 to 5.
1 to 5, thank you. I keep forgetting that. In the Edith Bush Theater downstairs here at the library. Do they specialize in subgenre, or are they from
There's a
variety?
good mixture of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a couple of like historical romance authors that are coming in, but we also have like some contemporary romance authors. There's like a cowboy romance author in there. So it's a good little variety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, most of them are locals?
There, I would say within the state of Florida, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
What else, Jane? Talk to me. What else you want to? What else you want to say about the event, or you want to say about your shop, or you want to say? Okay. How do we get in touch with you other than stopping
Yeah.
by your shop?
Yeah,
Where
so I would
else are you?
say social media is huge for us. We're mostly active on Instagram. So our handle is the New Romantics Books, both
Okay.
ending in plural.
New Romantics Books.
Yeah,
Okay.
so and our website is tied to that as well. We have an events calendar on our website too. So if you're ever interested in seeing like what different types of events we probably have like 10 to 15 events happening a month.
Wow. Okay.
Because we host book clubs. Like we have 4 different book clubs. We have a romantasy book club, queer book club, sports romance book club, and then we also have a contemporary romance book club. But that one's tied to a book subscription box. We also have a book subscription box that we send out every month. But you can see all of those details on our website if you're trying to figure out how you can come out to an author signing event, or we do a lot of like community-based events as well. Like we are going to have like a like stitching event where people could just come and like stitch different things.
Okay.
So we try to do a lot of different varieties and just provide opportunities for people to build community.
And your website is
The NewRomanticsBooks.com.
NewRomanticsBooks.com.
Yeah,
And
it's the
you've got
same as the handle for Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, and you've got a calendar there with
Yep.
all the events.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can see all of the books that are in store as well on our website. So if you ever want to shop online, you can order for pickup, shipping, any of that.
Okay, good. And of course, the shop is on Corrine near the East End Market, across the street from Salty Donut.
From Salty Donut, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's a pink building. You can't miss it.
you can't your shop.
Yeah.
Your shop.
It's
Yeah.
pink.
Okay. Well, I loved having you today.
Thank
loved
you
having
so
you stop
much.
in here,
This
and I
was so
hope that
fun.
everybody will come and participate in the festival. I know last year, in speaking with Lorelei, it was just it was my first real exposure to romance books, and I know it turned out to be an incredible event. So I hope that's true again this year.
For sure. I will say the last note is that romance is the fastest growing genre and the fastest selling genre of
Really?
all fiction. Yep.
Really? Well, you're in a good niche then,
Yep,
I think.
I
Okay.
sure am.
Well, good luck to you, and thanks again.
Thank you. This was
All right.
great.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Books and Beyond from the Winter Park Library. This podcast would not be possible without the generous help and support from the library staff, and especially from Jeremy Zorn. Jeremy's official title is Public Services Librarian, but he does many things here at the library, including producing this podcast. We can't do this without you, Jeremy. Our theme music is from the song Don't Go by Bovine Joe and the Buffalo Herd. That's Herd spelled H-E-A-R-D. We hope you'll let your friends and others know about this podcast, and that you'll come by the library for one of our offerings, which you can find at winterparklibrary.org/events. That's winterparklibrary.org/events. If you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, or just want to talk about Books and Beyond, please send an email to podcast@winterparklibrary.org. That's an email to podcast@winterparklibrary.org. Remember that the Winter Park Library promotes the free and open exchange of ideas and does not attempt to control or take responsibility for any opinions that may be expressed in this podcast. Opinions expressed in this podcast do not constitute or imply an endorsement or a reflection of the library's policies or beliefs. This is Michael Werner, wishing you well until our next episode of Books and Beyond.